Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. On the program this morning, we intend to take a look at federal character and recent political appointments. Now, there is provisions for the federal character in Nigeria's constitution, and expressly put, it is responsible for ensuring that government appointment, civil service recruitment, and other aspects of governance reflect the federal character principle. And the idea is to give representation to all regions and various ethnic groups and religions, ensuring that no single region or group dominates the federal government. And this was particularly important given Nigeria's diverse population of over 20 ethnic groups. But really, if we look at it in all its ramifications, is this truly possible in a country as complex as Nigeria? And of course, there have been various cries from various quarters that this current administration is not being fair in the way appointments have been dished out to Nigerians. And so today, let's quickly see whether or not this age and time, do we begin to jettison the principles of federal character for merit, and or just again look at how we can incorporate federal character with political appointments. We do have a public affairs analyst with us in the studio this morning, Dr. Oladende Ario, and hopefully we'll also have join us via Zoom Kabiru Akingbolu, who is a lawyer as well as a public affairs analyst. I think he's also joining us on Zoom this morning. Barrister Akingbolu, good morning. Okay, well, as soon as we're able to establish contact with him, we'll definitely bring him on. Thank you, Dr. Ario, for being here in the studio this morning. Right, let's start from what the Constitution has expressly stated, which was what I read out earlier. So for you, and following the journey of Nigeria from successive administration to this current administration, do you think that at this point in time, do we need to continue to follow through the principles of federal character, or have we come to a point in politics that it is time to jettison the federal character principle and begin to look at issues around merit as against, finding a balance to ensure that everybody is involved?
Thank you very much. The idea of inclusivity makes a lot of sense in governance. But the reality or the truth sometimes is that each time you want to hammer the bell of federal characterization, you will be throwing away merit. Why? Because different parts of Nigeria got exposed to education much earlier than others, and some other parts also took education very seriously. That's why you have in some regions highly cerebral population as against other places. Okay. So when that happens, it is incomparable to now insist that you want to balance it out. It's like a family where they have professors, and another family, maybe one graduate, and then issues come up and there's a competition. They are saying, no, they should do equalization and all that. No, It doesn't work like that. Right. We must always give room to merit. When I say merit, what do I mean? People who are competent, who have vastly acquired knowledge and are highly educated. Regarding where they are from. It doesn't matter where, once they can perform, especially look at the antecedents and what they have done in their previous time. Of course, they must give them preference when it comes to selecting, especially if you want action anyway, and you don't want, like a Desiaka document or initial agreement of people. Now, coming to this government, those who are complaining that this government is not following the tracks of federal character, I call them bad losers. They are ranting. When the noise became overwhelming, one of the presidential media guys brought out the list, and he showed the numbers. There was nowhere Southwest, where the president comes from, was overtly favored. Right. And it was shocking because the way they were making the noise, I almost got carried away. If I had met Mr. President, I would say, Baba, I beg, I just this thing. And I said, but why the noise? Okay. What are you looking for? People they say they have choice ministries or departments that they want to work. Is that to add value or to steal?
Okay.
Does it matter where you are posted if what you want to do is to add value to human life?
Okay. All right. Ajibala, let's quickly bring Kabiru here. Kabiru Akingbolu, good morning. Thank you for joining us via Zoom. Can you hear me? Barrister Akingbolu? Hello? All right, we know you're there, and I heard your voice a couple of minutes ago. Can you hear me now? Hello? All right, we would continue to work on that, and once we're able to hear him and he can also hear us, we'll bring him on. Jibola, your question?
Okay. When you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, there is a particular section 14.3 where the Federal Character Commission Act was clearly stated. So I would just like to know, do you think Mr. President has committed any constitutional infraction looking at the breakdown of his appointment? And when you look at the political terrain in the country, there was a particular street parlance that myself and Abimbola used before we did the column segment of this show, Paddy Paddy. Is this the Paddy Paddy appointment or those that will come and serve the country and take it forward? I'm going to answer you with a question. You and I have known each other for a very long time. If by tomorrow I become a minister or whatever, and I need a media man, won't I go for you? Naturally, because I know you. I can determine your performance. I know how credible you are. I know how calm you are. And I know we can relate. So for me to work well and deliver, I will take somebody whose characterization I already know. They're going to bring a stranger at the altar of characterization, and then we won't be able to gel, and things will not move.
Okay.
I said it earlier. These are part of the relics of nation building, which has not helped us to build the nation. They remind us of our divisions. I wasn't a small boy when Bush became US president. Shortly after, the son also became president. Nobody was asking questions about, oh, he's from Southwest or from Ogun or anything. They saw merit and they went for him. For as long as we remain at the threshold of federal characterization, we're not ready to grow. Because they will be reminding us that, oh, it's Yoruba, it's Igbo, it's this, it's that. It shouldn't be working out like that. Albeit, merit must be the lead thing. Okay, is he competent? Is he qualified? What has he done? Where is he coming from? Whereby you don't go putting square pegs in the round holes. Unfortunately, and I'm saying this with all sense of purpose, the previous government of Muhammadu Buhari was accused in a similar fashion, and they were guilty.
Okay.
Because they couldn't come out with the kind of list that this government brought out for comparison. In so many cases, people were removed and they would just bring another. So many cases. If this government is not fair, they won't have brought that list out. Okay. But that list cancels out doubts.
Right. Sorry to cut you short. Okay, go ahead and then.
1 second. They now said they omitted the name of Pedabi Amila,
the chief of staff.
As if that one alone will throw the bin against the Southwest. Come on.
All right. Jibola, can you try and say maybe Barrister Akingbolu can hear you? Perhaps let's try that.
Okay, Barrister Akingbolu, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Very well, and you? Okay, so I was going to ask you the same question that I put to our guest in the studio here. The Constitution, what does it say about federal character and, of course, appointment by Mr. President? And looking at the breakdown of the list of those that Mr. President have appointed so far, do you think that he has committed any constitutional infraction so far?
Well, if you look at it, if you piece the appointments, one after the other, you may say that he has not. But deep down, you know that some of these things, actually, let's go to the basics. The Constitution in Chapter 2 says that in making appointment, the President of the government shall have recourse to federal character. And what is federal character? geopolitical zone, recognizing geopolitical zone or states or some ethnic biases and all that. But if you ask me personally, I don't think that is the beginning of our problems. And it started during Babangida regime, where in those days, a head of state or a president or head of government will necessarily not have in his immediate surrounding his tribal people. The ADC to Muritala Mohammed, who was, he was a Yoruba man. So many of them like that, they have Hausa, Yoruba have Hausa people and all that. But now, it is not possible. In fact, governors these days, they don't even choose just. If you look at the average of people employed by governors as their ADC, it will be somebody from even their village in most cases, or their state, in some cases, but they don't just pick an outsider. They believe it is unsafe. This is part of our problem to achieving cohesion in developing the nation. However, since the Constitution has made this provision, and then it's a guideline to the president or whoever is in charge of administration of government rather to follow this guideline. However, if what happens, the question to ask is what happens if the president or whoever fails to follow this? There is nothing that happens, because even our superior court of the Supreme Court has declared Chapter 2 as a non-enforceable provisions of the law. That you cannot challenge it in court. Any of the provisions, those provisions that say, education is compulsory, those provisions that say, you should eradicate corruption by at all costs, and those provisions that say, government should be accountable to the people, freedom of the press, they are now saying that the courts have interpreted Chapter 2 to be unenforceable. So if they have said that one, then what do you have to do? But if you look at the list, if we are saying, because if we go this way, we have to come down to who gets what again. Right. Because if you look at the list of the appointment of those who get the let me say, the key posts under this administration, you will arrive at the answer as Lagos boys. That is the truth of it. Start from Bajabi Amila, start from the rest of them, you find out, start from the leader of the house, MOB. Though MOB and Araki are from it, but they are the boys to the president. So how do you want to classify this? So if we go too far about this issue of federal character, we will run into trouble.
We will run into trouble. Dr. Ariyo, just from what the lawyer has said now, and then taking a cue from what is going on and what has happened before, now issue of trust and issue of competency would also come to play here.
Absolutely. Most
definitely, because the president may also want to, or whoever is in power, may also want to work with tested hands.
Tested, tried, and true.
Okay, well, said by you. Tested hands, those whom he believes, he can leave those responsibilities to. And so if that is the case, and I know that there are also advocates for a tweak in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if that comes to pass, should we begin to look at replacing what's the federal character, the section that expressly puts, the powers of the federal character here with merit, as against staying true to issues of federal character principle, or the principle of federal character?
Thank you very much. The idea behind that constitutional provision was evil, and was brought in during the military regime.
Right.
When they felt that the Southwest, I'm going to be very specific now, the Southwest, the Southeast, and South-South, they have highly educated population over and above the northern part of Nigeria because of earlier access or contact with the British people. And then they now felt, no, it cannot continue this way. So they brought that into the Constitution, and then they established the commission to execute it. But as I said, and which he confirmed, it has weakened our cohesion. Because what comes into your head is, I am Yoruba, he is Hausa, he is Fulani, he is Igbo, which shouldn't be.
That's against I am Nigerian.
Right. Now, the issue of hiring people is just, I said it earlier, if I need a media man, this man is here. I've known him for over 20 years. I've known him for so long. it becomes so easy and we work together on different bases and platforms. It's so easy for me to say, oh, please come and join us.
Okay.
And all the people you find in that team, they are, like I was very specific. They have been tried, they have been tested, and they have been found to be true. None of them is what we call leftovers.
But how do you also try others whom you've not been able to work with before? How do you know their own capacities as well?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Now, we're talking of a president inheriting a weakened economy, okay? Having diverse problems, from insecurity to terrible health condition, education in shambles, and all of that. So there was no space for experimenting. It had to be direct, and we must get it right. Now, with all the noise in the air, it has remained very firm. I have queried this economic team, and I'm still querying them. But what they are telling us is, look, these are teammates that they have worked together, they have understanding, and then they know what they are doing. And they're asking for time, okay? That with time, we will see the result of what they are doing. I did win, again, the issue of trust is very important because betrayal also comes into play. There are significant people who were in that fold before, who today are no longer there. They've been thrown away because they brought in betrayal. So I'm not, the field is wide, it is large enough. A lot of people who were never in appointment in Lagos State, they are in federal appointment now, and they are doing well. In any case, there will always be room for injection of new blood, so to say. If I have my way, I'm eminently qualified to be a minister of this country.
Because you're a Nigerian.
Not only that, I'm qualified to be, I'm educated, I'm exposed, but I'm not in that circle.
You're
they
not
don't
a
know
politician.
me. They don't even know me in that circle.
Jibola, you'd have to direct most questions to
Barrister Akingbeolu, there is this mentality out there, especially from a particular region of the country, that it's a national cake, it's our right, and every time we must have our sons and daughters appointed into these particular ministries and agencies. That we have seen over the years, but it's beginning to change now. And it appears Mr. President is looking at the mandate that he received from Nigerians, and of course, he's all out to carry it out and of course deliver at the end of the day. This mentality of national cake, that the customs must come to this side, immigration must come to this side, how do we change it?
Well, you see, it has already changed. First of all, for the first time...
But they are crying.
For the first time, you are seeing somebody from the South being the Minister of Federal Capital Territories. That never happened before under any of the government. For the first time, you are having somebody from the Southwest heading the EFCC, the almighty EFCC, which has always come from the North. For the first time, you are seeing, in recent time, the custom, not being headed by, so when you see some of these things, and when you talk of immigration, the person who is heading it, you cannot say it's from the North. He's a Yoruba woman from Atiku State who is married to somebody from Plateau State. So, are you with me?
Yes, go ahead. Please go on.
Yeah, so you can see that it's changing. The tempo is changing. However, let us not forget the fact that there are some other ministries that have to be mixture. From time immemorial, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Defense Staff. Most of the time, they have always been picking two from the North, one from the Southwest, one from the South or Southeast, and this is exactly what has happened this time around too. So the president is trying to change these narratives. However, let us not forget the fact that we are a federation. No part of the country has, a birthright to any particular post. They call it juicy, which is another, appalling term to use. And the moment you are not putting them in certain, giving them certain portfolios, some people start to feel awkward about it. This is not supposed to be because we are running a federation. But if we hammer too much, or if we concentrate too much on the idea of federal character is evil to greatness, is evil to development, is evil to cohesion, and some other standard practice in governance, because when you talk of federal character, if you see the best candidate for the job from the southeast, it means you will not pick him. If you look at the balancing of the equation, that it is tilting toward that region, you may pick somebody from the north or somebody from the southeast, which will be, you have undermined the entire process. It is happening in everything. In medical profession, it's happening in law, it's happening everywhere. Even in awarding professorial and senior advocates of Nigeria at times, they look at all these things. Even in getting admission to schools, it's only during President Buhari that he came out and said, no, this issue of catchment area should stop. You forget, I remember some time ago when the cut-off mark for somebody from the southwest who is seeking admission into OAU is 269 for accounting in OAU in a particular year. The same thing is 209 for somebody from Sokoto or Zamfara State. So you are already saying these people are less disadvantaged, and now you are playing it on the right of others. Somebody who has got 250, who has got 240, you will not pick him because he's, the cutoff for his region is 260. It's unfortunate. And you will go and pick somebody who has got 209. How can we rationalize it? It happens everywhere. Even when they did these unity schools exams, the cutoff for some other states was less than 100. The one for southwest and southeast is above 200. Right. So how can you justify all this in the federation?
So Dr. Ariyo, from his explanation, both of you seem to be on the same page in this discussion here. But as much as we're talking about merit, how do we also begin to look at fairness, equity, like other regions are also asking for? Ajibola did mention earlier that, we seem to have this mentality of entitlement, in Nigeria. But as much as, we've talked about merit, so how do we also talk about balance, equity, fairness?
Fairness and balance. But I will say this, until now, we've not had any Southwesterner heading NNPC. Neither have we had somebody from Niger Delta, where they get crude oil, the essential commodity of NNPC operations. It's been so stratified that as another is leaving, another one is taking over. If you doubt me, after the program, go and look at the antecedent of NNPC until this new man came. I was going to believe that there was no Southwesterner that could manage
the NNPC.
The example he gave, children will sit for National Common Entrance Exam. The same thing, JAMB exam. Some states like Ogun, Enugu, Ondo are considered highly cerebral, highly educated already, and highly advantaged. They will give them very high cutoff marks, like 320 or 350 or whatever. States like Yobe, Zamfara, they will just give them 20, 30.
Because they want to encourage them to go to school.
And that's not the way to go if you want to encourage them. Because you are mixing sand with gari. It's not the same thing. We're talking of people who sat for the same examination, assessed by unknown examiners, and then scored. And we're now saying somebody who's got like 280 somewhere, you said that no, you can't have access. The same thing in the military. They will say your state has 50 or 11. They will peg their promotion. My younger brother was retired at a time he should still be serving with 3 master's degrees. Yet they said he had to go. Why? Other people from other regions must be promoted.
Okay.
And his ambition while joining the army was to get to the peak of his career. He wanted to retire as a general, but they demoralized him that it took a lot of counseling before he could find his bearing. So what are we talking about? Are we now being fair? When people who when they finished in ND, they didn't do any other reading. They didn't go to any exam, or maybe do any exam. They only attended in-house courses.
Yes,
they became generals.
Okay.
So we're not just talking for talking's sake.
Right. The books are
the examples are there. I hate to say it. My younger brother, same father, same mother, he was retired prematurely because they said from his area there are too many in the system.
Okay, Barrister Akingbolu, some of the examples that he cited and some other examples rather, isn't this why people are calling for us to tweak with our constitution and make it fair to everybody? Because I also had some personal experience when I wanted to join the DSS. I went there with my certificate, and I saw some people from a particular region of the country coming with, because of the religion that was involved, I wouldn't mention it now, coming with nothing. And they were asked certain questions they could not answer. I answered, and at the end of the day, my name didn't come out. When I wanted to serve at the Nigerian Port Authority, I was only this person from the southwest,
So
and I had to lobby.
You've been marginalized.
I was marginalized.
Yes.
So what can we do to our constitution to address all these injustice?
Before he takes it up, the unfairness is already inbuilt in the constitution. So for us to now begin to talk of fairness, we have to tweak
that
with the constitution.
All right, but you had Barrister Akingbolu.
Yeah, Barrister Akingbolu, you have the floor.
Yeah. Let me tell you straight away, we don't have problem with this. People have been talking. In every forum I have been present, I have the opportunity to speak about this subject, or this vexed issue. I have always maintained and I've always repeated the point that our problem is not our constitution. People will say, "Oh, the military, this is not working." But the much it can do is the much effort we have put into it because we don't want it to work. It can never work. Our problem is not the Constitution. The Constitution as it is today can serve us. The American Constitution in 18-something that it was promulgated or made, how many enactments, how many are the, it's not more than half of our constitution in bulkiness. You understand? Our own is just big and bogus, and every time we are saying, "Oh, it is not enough," we have our first alteration, second alteration, third alteration, fourth alteration. Recently, we have the fifth alteration. Yet, you are still saying it's not serving our yearnings and desires and objectives and purposes. When is it going to serve us? The instrument called the Constitution, the 1998 Constitution, if well used and if well utilized, can serve our purpose. Okay. And don't forget this issue of this idea of a federal character I have told you is not justiciable. In other words, you can't challenge it in court. That because of federal character was not followed, the appointment of a so-and-so person should be jettisoned on the ground, that ground, the court will throw it away, that it is not something you can challenge in the court of law. What we have as a problem is leadership problem, is commitment, is patriotism. Okay. You begin to feed an agency of government with incompetent people on the ground of federal character. The result you get is what you have to get. Okay. You cannot apply the same thing and expect a different result. Right. As you lay your bed, so you lie on it. You see competent people to be the head of the NNPC because of federal character. No country goes like that. Right.
So, Dr. Ario, fine, both of you here seem to think that we need to start looking at merit over issues of federal character. But in as much as, yes, merit, should be the order of the day, how do we also ensure there is, again, I'm going
national
to come to, aside national spread, also there is opportunity for gender sensitive issues as well as youth inclusiveness when appointments are being made. I know that this administration has been at least fair. Well, should I say fair, has been kind to the youths.
Oh, nice.
But even though, they're still asking for more. Yeah, so how do we also ensure there is, again, go back to issues around balance, issues around gender parity, issues around youth inclusion, as, as much as we're looking at issues surrounding merit and those who can actually deliver on the job?
Thank you very much. I will strike the issue of gender. You must show interest in politics before you can be a politician.
Must appointments be about politicians?
No, just wait.
Okay.
So, when you show interest and then you are visible, you will have demonstrated some skills, capacities, and competencies that will make you a likely candidate. Okay. I told you, I am eminently qualified to be anything in this country. But they only see me on TV. Beyond that, they don't know me. Right. And I'm not even available anyway. But those who have interest, who look forward to serving should make themselves visible,
right,
so that you are known. You don't become an unknown quantity, just part of the crowd. You must stand out. That way, you will be known. One of my younger friends is today a council chairman in Abeokuta, and he was managing a thriving ad agency in Lagos.
Okay.
When he told me, I was surprised. I now said, Uncle, all the time you saw me at the palace, at this, at that, what do you think I was doing? He was familiarizing himself.
Okay.
They got to know you to use you. Yeah. If you are on, like if I'm given an appointment and I need a media man, this guy is a sure bet. I mean, whether anybody will say, whether I'm doing paddy or not, is my paddy so? Will I throw him away?
There's actually paddy in politics.
The issue of youth, that's a fundamental problem, and a structurally fundamental, such that some of the old brigades of today, they have eaten the future of their children by not giving them space. What do I mean? Imagine somebody, he became a council chairman. From council chairman, he went to the House of Assembly, spent 8 years, became a governor, today is a minister. Is he the only one around? Such characterization that we have in Nigeria is not helpful at all. And the earlier the parties start dealing with that, the best for all of us. Unfortunately, again, the youth that we have today, they are very frightening. The things that they demonstrate, you will be frightened to relate too closely with them. From their physical appearance alone, you understand? I'm not against people being fashionable,
right,
but certain things don't fit certain things,
right,
I mean, certain positions. So you must make yourself employable,
right,
or appointable. Otherwise, you just make all the noises and nothing will happen.
All right, Jibola, let please engage the Barrister Akingbolu before we allow him to go to.
All right, Barrister Akingbolu, we have all amplified the fact that, okay, appointment should be based on merits. But then, some people are of this opinion that, okay, Mr. President was not only brought into office with a particular section of the country's votes. So what do you have to say to these people?
Let me tell you, apart from all these things you talk about, before I go into that, you have spoken about issue of gender, about youth. All these things are not practicable in Nigeria today because of lack of patriotism, because of lack of a workable policy. Now, in Nigeria today, the system has allowed people to lie. You understand? I have another, the bank in Nigeria today will not employ anybody who is above 27 years, which is not supposed to be. Somebody who is the son of a farmer and could not graduate because of a lot of fund or some other thing until he's 30. You mean he cannot employ? He can't be employed? When you still have opportunity to work for 30 years. This is so unfortunate. So in that way, they will go and lie about their age. A 35-year-old man will claim to be 23, and he will occupy the space of the youth. And again, the women are not given opportunity or equal opportunity to perform in politics, because if you look at it, the practice that we do, why is it that almost every important political meetings are held at night when they are supposed to be with their husband? How many of them we allow them to go and join politics? These are some of the ways to naturally cut them down. And again, everything is investment. Much as I agree that tribalism or favoritism or better character should play a less role. Also, there is this issue of investment also, because in the north, the northern part has the highest votes if you look at it. So tendencies are that they will expect more appointment from their side. This is natural, you understand? But the president or whoever is in charge should try to balance the equation against all all factors like looking at other regions or states. It is very important. Okay. This is the way it is.
All right.
Before you
as it is today, it is for us.
We just need to sign him out so that we don't. And then we'll come back to you. All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Akingbolu, for finding time to be with us on the program this morning. We appreciate your thoughts. All right. Okay. All right. You were going to ride on.
Yeah,
on,
he said
on
something.
Right.
And I'm going to say that there is a difference between volunteerism and mentorship.
Okay.
Mentorship takes cognizance of qualification, competence, and capabilities, whereas volunteerism promotes emotion and affiliations that may not help the issues on hand. So we must just do away with that. If anybody has any concrete evidence against anyone so appointed Mr. President from the Southwest, let them come out with it. They will be surprised that they were all profiled and screened before they were given appointments, and didn't just start today. So it's very important always. And like I said, we should go back to our constitution. The National Assembly should remove or reward that part of the constitution. It was fraudulent, it was unfair. Yeah, it was. Like I said, I didn't know he tried to get into MPA.
Right.
It was modernized. The same thing with NNPC.
Okay.
Let's just call a spade a spade.
Right. So
Painfully, the waters that MPA all the is rested upon, they are based in the Southwest. Yet you could hardly see any of our qualified persons being given the space to run.
Right. So for you, Dr. Ario, this morning, for those who said the principle of federal character should be central to Nigeria's effort at promoting national unity, you think that really is not what we need at the moment? Merits should again take precedence and give the job to whom you think can deliver?
Whether we like it or not, we are facing a lot of crises on different fora. Should we now, at the altar of being fair, put people who do not have what it takes to make things happen in position of authority and power? They will mess things up. And that is why we are saying, I don't care who is the governor of Lagos State or president of Nigeria, so long as I can survive, I can be secure, I can achieve my goals and objectives. And of course, everywhere you can see development and growth. Yeah, but we now say, no, you must go here, you must come there. Each time we do that, we crucify merit.
Okay. All right, we'll have to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Oladende Ario, for finding time to be with us on the program today. We appreciate your thoughts.
Having me.
That's the much time will permit us to take on the conversation this morning. Well, both gentlemen we spoke with today seem to believe that issues around merit should actually take precedence over the principle of federal character. Thank you so much for watching this side of the table. We'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, Joy will be here with her Lagos conversation.
The views expressed on this program do not represent that of the producer, management of Lagos Television, or the Lagos State Government. They remain the perspectives of those expressing them. Thank you for staying with Lagos Television.